Got a new machine today from GEEKOM. This is their A5 Pro. It's an AMD Ryzen machine, and it gives me a chance to test something I've always wanted to test out. Is Linux actually legitimately faster than Windows is? I'm going to use Geekbench 6 for this, which is the latest and greatest as of the time of this recording, and we're going to prove out one way or the other what that answer actually is. And since I'm at the editing part and I've already finished the whole video, the answer surprised me too. It's not. But you know me, I love to tear machines apart, so the first thing we're going to do is open this machine up and take a look inside and see what makes it tick a little bit. And then we'll start running the benchmarks and then the results. All right, we got that out of the way. Vacuum sealed. Oh, nice box, nice packaging. Seems like they care. I like that. This thing is wrapped in plastic, wrapped in cardboard, wrapped in plastic. That is actually a really good size. It feels like it's a metal case, which would help with cooling. So on the back, we've got HDMI, and then these are USB 4 and DisplayPort, which is why you see that kind of that DP logo, that DisplayPort logo on there. So it looks like you can do 4 monitors at one time. That's pretty cool. 19 volts input, one 2.5 gigabit per second Ethernet port, a super speed USB 3, the blue one, and then a regular USB 2, which would be good for, say, something like your keyboard or something like that, where you don't really have a whole lot of performance necessary. SD card on one side, nothing on the other side, and then 2 more high-speed USB ports on the front, and then headphone jack, or speaker jack, or headset jack, or microphone jack. All of the above. Not all at the same time, unless you have the headset. You know what I mean. Little tiny power button. Doesn't weigh hardly anything. I like that. Oh, this is my favorite. Ingestion hazard. Don't eat it. This product contains a button or coin cell battery. Okay. Do they not want you to get into the box? Interesting. I don't want to damage it. Is there something under the feet? Oh, I'm loath to take off the feet. Especially since they don't actually want to be removed. Ah, yes. Okay. So they have little fingers on them that will hold them into place, and then they're also slightly sticky. So I got to get all of those out. And then I need my screwdriver kit. And those are regular Phillips, but just in case they weren't, I've got everything else in here as well. This is actually a really good screwdriver set to have on your workbench. I do like that the feet have dual retention, and then that's actually probably even going to need some kind of spudger to get into that case as well, which is in my toolkit. There we go. Oh, there is something connected there. I guess that's like an antenna of some sort. And then more screws. Looking for my screwdriver. It's sitting right there on the desk. Those look like they're the same size, but they actually look like they might be a thinner diameter shaft. So I'll put those over on the other side. No cross-pollination of the screws. So this has some nut zerts on it, which you can use to mount, but I wonder if these are also the Visa pattern as well. Oh, disconnected the antenna. That's going to be fun to put back on. So there is our SSD, and that's a little tacky. So that was hooked up to this plate here for heat sinking purposes. It's interesting that there's that rubberish thing there. I guess that's to help with lighting of the power button. All right, so there's room for another smaller drive there, or maybe another like cellular Wi-Fi card or something. We've got 1.2 volt DDR4 sockets, and inside, does it tell me what it is? It's made by Kingston, which is a good brand name, but it doesn't say. Not in any easy way that I can read what size it is. But we'll figure it out when we turn it on for the first time. Now I've got to get this thing out of the way so I can get that antenna plugged back in that I disconnected. Then I just dropped the screw inside. Oh, look at that. There is your Wi-Fi card, and that is where that other antenna went. Oh, that's going to be so much fun. There's a little plastic cover on it, which is going to keep it from shorting out on that. But it's also going to make it really hard for me to get that other antenna port on there. Doesn't help that these things are so small that they're hard to see. All right, there we go. That is now put back in place. And then we can put that back in place. And it's interesting the way that that screw is. That screw handles both of those two, the drive and the Wi-Fi card. Magnetic screwdriver for the win. That is now put down, which is going to make it interesting to get. There we go. Got it in tight enough that it was able to keep the Wi-Fi card in place. And then also release the screw for the SATA drive, for the NVMe drive. Actually, I don't even know what kind it is just by looking at it. And so there goes that. And then this says front, and it's got that rubber gasket thing for making sure your light for your on-off switch goes in and out. Let's get that cable routed properly. Okay, and then these are the screws that we put on this side to not mix them up. Put that tape back down. Put the bottom of the case on. So I saw the stuff inside that I wanted to see. Mostly just curiosity. All right, let's see what else is in this box, because there's more stuff. More goodies. Thank you for your support. How nice. From GeekCom. And what is this? Thank you for purchasing our products to facilitate your daily life. We hope they serve you well. Your trust and support are greatly appreciated. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. Awesome. Manual. There's actually some semblance of a manual. Cool. Power brick. Power cord with the Mickey Mouse plug. HDMI cable. Mounting bracket. So yep, you would take those out, and then you would use the mounting bracket, and they give you more screws. That's perfect. I like that. So that was pretty cool inside. It's actually neat how much they can put into such a small space and deliver so much power compared to how big our prior generation computers were. What we're going to do next is boot this thing up for the first time and go through the Windows intro screen thing. I'm going to not set up my Wi-Fi network so it doesn't create a Microsoft account. And then I'm going to accept yes on all the telemetry stuff. And then we're going to do some benchmarks. So next up, I have to install Geekbench. It's going to give me a warning about trying to install something, which I double clicked on to actually start the install. So why are you warning me that? Next, 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 done. And then when I launch it, it's going to say we're not connected to the internet and I don't have the Pro version. So I got to get this thing licensed. Now that we got that installed, we can see what our specs are. It says AMD Ryzen 5 7530U, 1 processor, 6 cores, 12 threads. It's a socket FP6. Its code name is Cezanne. Base frequency is 2 gigahertz, maximum frequency 4534 megahertz, 16 gigs of RAM, and it has recognized it as a GEEKOM A5 Pro. So let's run the benchmark. So what I'm going to do is give this thing a 10-minute wait for all of Windows to calm down. And then we're going to run the benchmark 3 times, and I'll take the average of those 3 times. First 3 benchmarks are done. Now we get to connect to the network and install all of the Windows updates. Yay. And now that we've got all that done, it says restart. So we're going to hit the restart now button, which is probably going to make it want to do some more install stuff. Here we go. Updates are underway. We'll come back when they're done. Da da da. So that was 2 large updates, 2 reboots, installed on the way down, rebooted, installed on the way up, logged in, found more updates, installed more updates, repeat the process. Now can we go on? Hey, look, they want me to do Windows backup on this thing. No, thank you. Let's just never remind me again. No, just say no thanks. What? How does this even work? Remind me again in 1 week? So I guess if I hit no thanks, it's going to be 1 week. And if I hit let's go get started, it would get started. But I don't want to be reminded at all. Just no thanks. Settings. Turn off all notifications for OneDrive. There we go. That's misleading. Windows updates are installed. The machine has rebooted a couple of times. I've gotten rid of the OneDrive annoyance. And now it's time to run the post-update, post-login, post-authenticate with Microsoft and reach out to the cloud benchmark and see if there's any difference. I thought it would be neat to try running Unigine, U-N-I-G-I-N-E, Unigine, I guess. The superposition benchmark, which is supposed to test like game performance and video performance and that kind of thing in some more real-world benchmarks. But it turns out, looking at this picture here, it wants 1,292 megs of RAM. Is that 1,292? Oh, 1,299. So it turns out, looking at this picture here, it wants 1,299 megabytes of VRAM, and I only have 512 megabytes of VRAM on this. So this test won't even run. And now is the time when we reboot the machine and say goodbye to Windows. Press the magic key press, F7, over and over and over again. And what do I want to do? I want to boot off of USB. I'm just going to guess USB and not partition 2. Hey, I was right. And I'll be back after Linux Mint's installed. I got a whole video on doing this, and I won't waste your time here. Doing this the same way we did Windows. We gave it the 10-minute rest period so everything can settle down. We'd have 0 network connectivity. We haven't done any updates, so let's do the Geekbench. And apparently on Linux, it just runs. So, run. And there we go, single core test away. I won't bore you with watching this. It's like 5 minutes per run. We're going to do 3 runs. We're going to do the GPU thing, and then we're going to come back again afterwards. One of the problems with doing this as a out of the box, run it for the first time ever and get it done is that I didn't know that Linux doesn't support OpenCL in the Geekbench GPU test. So on the Windows side, we did OpenCL testing, and on the Linux side, we did Vulkan testing. And so the numbers are going to be apples to oranges instead of apples to apples for the GPU test. But after looking at the results at the end of the video, it doesn't matter, and I'll tell you why when we get there. Let's go in and connect to a wireless network, and look at how hard this is going to be. Hey, it's pretty much the same. Isn't that weird? Since I'm now connected to the internet, I'm going to run the updates, the OS updates, the same way we did on Windows. I'm going to give it a 10-minute rest period after a reboot to calm down. And this is Linux Mint 22.3, which is the latest as of March 2026 when this is being recorded. Run the benchmarks, 3 CPU, 3 GPU, and then I think it's time to compare the results. This did not work on the previous version, so we're going to find out whether it works on this version or not. This is the Unigine superposition. Ooh, look at that. And it can't tell the VRAM that we have, but let's try it. Watch it fail. See, it says 1299 out of NA, and on Windows it couldn't do this at all because it was like 1299 out of 512. We just didn't have enough VRAM for it. Ooh, it's working. Took it a second to get started, but it's moving right along. 17 frames per second. Ooh, Nixie tubes. All right, there we go. First, we started off with Windows, and then we went over to Linux, and now we are on Mac OS. And I love all operating systems, but the reason I use Mac OS as my daily driver is because I get the benefits of Linux. I don't have a humongous ad billboard in front of me all day long. I don't have ridiculous amounts of telemetry. I don't have the attack surface that Windows has. And I get to use DaVinci Resolve to make videos for you guys and don't have to worry about codec licensing issues, which cripples DaVinci Resolve on Linux. So here we are on Mac OS. And besides, I like playing with all different kinds of computers. These are the results. This is the single core. I say Windows pre because this was before I connected it to the internet, before I authenticated with the cloud, and before I did all of the Windows updates. We got a single core performance of 1999. We got a multi-core performance of 7059, and we have an OpenCL performance of 15242. And like I mentioned earlier, I didn't know that Linux did not do OpenCL, it only did Vulkan, and I don't know whether Windows does or not, so maybe in a future video, if we get another machine that's unmolested, it's too late for this one because I already changed, and changing back would ruin the parameters of the test. So these are our numbers for our pre. Let's do our post. And this is after the Windows updates have been installed, after we've connected to the internet, after we've authenticated with Microsoft and gotten their, like, let's start the telemetry thing going. And you can see there's a little bit of a slowdown on the single core performance here, but I did give it that same 10 minutes waiting period for everything to cool down before I ran the benchmark. We got 1993 on single core, 7071, a little bit of a bump there on multi-core, and then the OpenCL score went down after the update. So we lost a little bit on single core, we gained a little bit on multi-core, we lost a little bit, almost 100 points on GPU stuff. So not insignificant numbers, but also somewhere in the noise range. And I think that's where we're going to be. This is why it surprised me. Let's take a look at the Linux. This is Linux pre, single core 1987. Slower by 13 points. Is that 13 points? Did I just math on camera? Oh, 12. I mathed on camera. Mea culpa. Shame on me. 1987, 12 points. 7158 on multi-core pre-update. So again, 7059, 7058. These are 3 runs average, 3 runs average, 3 runs average. Every single time I do this, I do 3 runs, then I take the average. So it's not just 1 run to kind of account for some issues and whatnot. It's an average of 3 runs. And then Let's take a look. This is Linux post updates. 1978 dropped a little. 7136 dropped a little. And 17854, the GPU performance actually went up. That's pretty cool. I got one more thing for you. The Linux performance setting. Out of the box, first fresh install, ready to roll, Linux has a performance governor on it to do power saving mode, to save you some, wattage and whatnot when your computer's just idle, not doing anything. This is really great for like laptop computers. It doesn't matter so much in desktop computers. Probably at the end of your lifespan, you might have saved yourself, 15 bucks or something like that. So this is the performance numbers. And 1968 versus 1978, we lost some traction there. 7136 versus 7139, we gained some performance there. And then 17854 to 17951, we gained a lot of performance on the GPU side of things, almost 100 points. And that might be just accountable for, like, I don't have to switch out of power saving mode and go into performance mode. I already am in performance mode. We're ready to go with this. What do you think about that? The single core performance is kind of a killer here. I mean, it looks like Linux is much worse on single core performance, but then you look at the multi-core performance and Linux is much better on multi-core performance. 100 points better. Almost 100 points better. I didn't try to math on camera. I just averaged. Work with me on this one here. And then the GPU performance, it's a different test, but what I find interesting is that Windows lost performance while Linux gained performance. So leave some thoughts in the comments down below what you guys think. So I will leave links in the description down below where you can get the GeekCom A series A5 Pro machine. And I will also leave the Geekbench link and the Unigine superposition link down there, because those are fun to play with. See how your machine stacks up compared to this A5 Pro from GeekCom, and take it from there. Do we have any discount codes for you? So there's a 7% discount that is on through the end of March. So I'll make sure I get this video out as fast as I can because it's close to the end of March and at the time of me filming this. It took a while to film this one. So save yourself 7%. Get it fast. So if you're the kind of person that likes watching this kind of person do reviews on PC hardware and compare them in new and interesting and exciting ways and possibly show you something new along the way, then this is a channel for you. Be sure you are subscribed by hitting that button right below the video that says subscribe. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, and it tells the world that this is a cool thing to see, and YouTube shares it out with more people. Also click that like button and leave a comment down below and all that other amazing social media stuff that we're all told to tell you under threat of violence at the end of a video. And if you want to see that video I talked about earlier about how to install Linux Mint on your machine and get that little teeny tiny bit of performance boost over Windows and also remove all of the hassles, I got that video for you right over here. I'll see you over there. Thanks for being awesome.